Elman, ready?
Ready? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you like to speak first?
Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to our first podcast about meditation, a very important subject in this world today. Something that can be great for anyone to learn. And why is that? Well, meditation connects us to the present moment, this present moment right now. Mostly people are living these days very much outside the present moment, living in the future and the past. If you're living in the future, you're going to have a lot of worries and stress and anxiety. Living in the past, you'll have a lot of regrets and sadness. By coming to live more in the present moment, these elements of suffering, you can overcome them and live a life of joy and happiness, our natural state. I won't talk too much about this right now. It doesn't need a long conversation. It's actually better if we can really start by doing it. Let's do that. Oh, and before that, I'll introduce my two companions here. Of course, everybody needs to know them as well. First is Rodrigo, an old friend.
Hello.
And a meditator from some time ago. And Edson.
Hi.
Who's a member of a meditation group that I currently run.
Great.
And we'll all meditate together now, and this will be for you out there. You'll listen to the instructions. It won't be long. It'll be about 5 minutes. The instructions are simple. And then at the finish of that 5-minute meditation, we are going to talk a little bit about that. And my companions will ask some questions, how it was for them, anything that came up during the meditation, and I will give some guidance about that based on my experience. Okay? So let's begin with our meditation.
All right. Let's do it.
Firstly, we close our eyes. Let your body relax. Totally relaxed. Now take a deep breath in. Hold it and release. Once again, breathe in, hold, and release. And feel the energy of your breathing going through your body as well. Last time, breathe in, hold, and release. Now feel the silence around you there, wherever you are. Simply that. The silence in the room where you are is inside you as well. It is your true self, your consciousness. Thoughts are coming and going, you will notice that. There's no need to try to stop thinking. This process does not involve any effort to try and stop thinking. Simply observe the passing of the thoughts. They come and they go, like clouds in the sky. The sky itself, we can say, is like your consciousness. It is unlimited and it doesn't move. As you're watching the thoughts come and go, observing them, don't judge anything. There's no good thought, bad thought, they're just thoughts. And don't be attached to any of them. Let them come, let them go. Not forcing anything, not controlling, not resisting anything at all. No expectation, we're not waiting for something to happen. With patience, here and now, in this present moment. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Simply to be. Now you're making contact with your true self, your consciousness. It is eternal and universal. Was never born, will never die. Beyond space, beyond time. Free of the future, free of the past. Now, slowly open your eyes. How are you feeling, Rodrigo?
Relaxed. Good. Good.
It's very, very relaxed, almost sleep.
Well, that is a sample of the meditation that I give to people in groups and in private sessions as well. So, does anyone have any either of you guys have any questions about this? You've done it before, and of course here we are doing it in our first podcast here. So if you have any questions, please ask now, and maybe a question that might be useful for people watching.
May I go first?
Yeah, please go.
All right. Recently, Edson and I recorded a video on our YouTube channel in Portuguese. I don't know how much the audience is Portuguese speaking, basically. But the main question, the center of the chat was how to balance the whole necessary, make a long story short, stress, okay, putting it on this word of our day-to-day lives with spirituality. And specifically when we said spirituality, we meant meditation, right? That is something that Edson practiced with you, is one of your students. and I try to fit myself in. Been struggling with it, but going, yeah, on the way, yeah. So how does it? Is it possible? First of all, and if possible, how? What is your word about it?
Yes, it is possible to do that, but we have to take it one step at a time. And you heard me use the word no expectations in that meditation we just did. It's very easy to be sitting there meditating and be kind of waiting for something great to happen, and that expectation really gets in the way. It will take you into the future, and it will keep you in the future. So we need to have, once we start meditating and once we have the feeling to live a more spiritual life, a more conscious life, those words are, they match, they go together, spiritual life, conscious life. Once we start doing that, then it's important not to have unrealistic expectations, and we're going one step at a time. When we approach it like that, it's like if you're going to climb a mountain. The key to climbing a mountain is not to look at the top before you start. Otherwise, you would never start. You just look at each step in front of you, and suddenly, wow, you look down, you're halfway there. And this is the same with beginning any practice that's going to help us find peace in our life. And can we have peace in a busy schedule, a busy work life? A person who would normally have a lot of stress, can that be released, all of that stress, and you have a peaceful existence even in a challenging environment? Absolutely, you can. That can happen. Yeah. Step by step.
Does it have to become a habit before becoming a necessity, or someone should have to, try to find a way to turn it into a necessity rather than a habit?
Yeah. One important aspect of this is that normally most people are busy all the time. And especially this day and age, the speed of life is faster than it's ever been. And the tendency to just wake up in the morning and go all day long, doing things like that without any stop until you put your head down at night. And in other words, there's no silence during the day. There's no cessation of activity whatsoever during the day. That's the main thing that's going to give you stress. That constant activity with no pause in it at all. And the pauses that are necessary are really silent pauses, even if it's only a few minutes a day. And at work, I do recommend to people at work, you can just shut your eyes for half a minute or a minute. Often at work is better than nothing at all. Some people are a bit concerned, if I do that, somebody might see me at work and think, what's a strange thing I'm doing? And other people don't mind. They say, I realize how important it is. I will do that. But even more important than that is to gradually develop a practice at home that you can do yourself. Sitting silently and meditating in a quiet place, find a quiet place at home. I recommend to begin for about 15 or 20 minutes once a day, and to develop that as a habit. It doesn't have to be done at any particular time in the day, but usually morning is best because we're more fresh then. Getting into the evening, we're more tired. It can be easy to fall asleep, but there's your starting point. 15 minutes a day, bringing more silence into your life. Beethoven said once that music, and who doesn't like music? We all like music. Music is two things: the notes and the spaces between the notes. And those spaces are God, he said. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't talk in those religious terms here, but we could say those spaces, empty spaces, are our consciousness. And the notes are all the thoughts and all the words we speak and all the activities we do. So if you're playing heavy metal music, there is almost no space there. It's a very frantic, wild kind of music. And we know the lifestyle of the kind of guys that play that music. The best guitarists, they can just play one note and bring tears to your eyes. So,
Robert, about the silence, I work a lot with the graphic arts. It's the same in graphic arts, only we call it the blank space. It's kind of the blank space that makes whatever the figure, main figure is, visible to you. If you don't have the blank spaces, you don't have the picture.
Empty canvas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, thank you for the question. It was a good one.
Thank you.
What's
My
yours?
pleasure.
What's yours, Edson?
My question is about presence. We really like to be present. We really like to be in the now, in the present moment.
Right here, right now.
Yeah, I think this is the greatest thing. Like, for example, there was an article called "Wherever You Are, Be There." What I feel is that most people are not there. They are never paying attention to where they are and what they are feeling. And I think the greatest thing in meditation is this presentness, making us become present and in the now. If you can achieve that, it's just a wonderful feeling.
It is.
So I don't really have a question about this, but the question would be, how can people be more present? How can people be more in the now?
I should really pay attention to this one.
Yes.
I think that's a very important state.
What I suggest anyone can do, this is something very, very simple, okay, is during your day, and let's start with either today or tomorrow, ask yourself, I suggest you ask yourself 2 or 3 or maybe 4 times during the day, where am I right now? Just that simple question. Where am I right now? Am I here right now? Don't have to do it 50, 100. It's not like a mantra that you repeat all day long. Just when you can think of it, where am I right now? You're going to be very surprised at what you discover. Now, the first time I asked someone to do that, it was like an exercise I gave someone. I just thought of it spontaneously. And I said, try this. And he did. And then I saw him the next day and I said, how was that little exercise? He said, oh my God. It really affected him deeply. And he said, I realize I am never here. I am never here right now. And so the moment you begin to realize that you're not here, you're never here, you're halfway to becoming here. Most people live in a dream, an illusion, that present moment, what is that? That doesn't exist. They never contemplate that. They're just thinking about future stuff all the time, or they're worried about the future, or they're thinking about bad things they did or wrong things, regrets they had in the past. And one manager at a big company that he started to practice with meditation with me, I asked him, his name's Paolo, and I said, Paolo, how many guys you have working under you? I've got 30 in my team. And I asked him, what is the biggest impediment to people's productivity? And he said, inability to let go of past mistakes. Living in the past. And whoever can overcome that, the productivity at work goes up a lot. Not only productivity, but your well-being and your relaxation is tremendously increased.
Yeah, I try to read a lot about this, and some people think they can multitask, for example, and there is something called a residue. If you are doing one activity and then you go to the next one, the residue of the last activity you were doing keeps interfering. So like the past is impeding your good work in the present, because you are bringing things from back there into the now. If you can be just in the now, focus in the now, your productivity, that's something that very important for people who work and business people, and to be in the present, because you can do very good work. I use that Pomodoro technique, which is a very interesting thing. You work for like 20-25 minutes and you take a break and then you go back, so it helps you to focus and to be in the moment. This is really a great thing. Very, very good for productivity.
Yeah, I've been meditating for about 45 years now. And, well, when we say, or we ask someone, do you do meditation? Or somebody says, are you doing meditation? Well, there's the doing aspect of it, but meditation at a deeper level is just being. It's just being. It's I am being meditation. And then at the next level beyond that, you would say, I am meditation. There's a funny quote from Salvador Dali. Someone asked him once, do you do drugs? And he said, I am the drug.
What did he mean by that? Like, I wonder.
And so we reach a point in meditation when you've moved from doing meditation to being meditation, and then you are meditation. There's no difference between you and meditation.
Breathing it.
Yeah, you are that. There's no separation between myself and meditation. It's the same thing. That will happen eventually as you keep doing it.
Yeah, keep being in the present moment, and then you become the present moment. You are always there, and that's the ideal state, right? You are, some people call it fully awake or enlightened. That means you are
Fully present.
fully present.
Yeah.
Wide awake.
Everyone has had moments in their life of being, very briefly, probably fully present. You have a daughter. When that daughter was born and you went to the hospital the first time, you were fully present.
Yes, I was.
It's an ecstatic experience, like an almost overwhelming experience of joy and ecstasy.
Totally.
And everyone I've ever spoken to who had a child says the same thing. So you were fully in the present moment at that point.
100%.
100% at that time. And there are other ways that we experience complete presence. Many different ways that we experience it temporarily, occasionally. Anything that we're really focused on, and it's something that we like doing, will bring us into the present moment. But of course, the catch here is that when we stop doing that thing, then we come out of the present moment again. So when the experience at the hospital passed, right, then you come back to good old Rodrigo again, and with all the things going on in the mind. And that's like for everyone. But there are just these moments when, for some reason, we're extremely joyful and happy, and we don't know why, and don't even know where that's coming from. And it comes occasionally. And for some people, the question comes, wow, what is that? I need to know, how can I get that again? And other people don't have that question. They just accept that as something that came and went. But that experience is, or that state of being fully present is available at all times. What we have to do is ask ourselves, where am I right now? And what's the result of that question?
And as you said, try not to, some people try to win at meditation. I mean, you don't have to bring that expectation into your meditation. You meditate and you get there. Don't go into meditation and think, I want to be in the present moment. And you go and it comes.
Exactly. Yes, it's a matter of giving yourself completely to it.
Opening yourself, it comes.
Isn't there a risk of this, idea of like being 100% here? People may feel that, and more than that, fear it, feel it, and fear it, like to become like too Zenist, so to say. Like, and then people may consciously or subconsciously use it like to prevent them from doing meditation. They might go say, might be like, oh, I don't want to lose my job. So, it's important that I wake up and I worry about things that should be done.
Yeah.
I don't know if my question makes any sense.
No, that's a good question to ask, and that's a normal response many people have when they contemplate doing meditation. When they start to do it, is that they wake up in the morning. Oh, I'm thinking about the things I have to do today. That's absolutely essential. You've got to, if you have a job, or even if you're going on a trip on your holiday or something, it requires planning.
Right.
The problem comes when we're stuck in that kind of mode all the time, thinking about what I have to do all the time. I asked a group of managers that I gave a workshop to once. The way I started the workshop, I just asked them, who here amongst you can not think about work when they come home? Put your hand up. There was 20 guys there. How many hands went up? Zero. Then I asked the second question, who would like to be able to do that? How many hands went up?
20.
All. Yeah. So it's getting the ability to be able to not be compulsively thinking all the time about either the future or the past. Just use it when it's necessary, and then you must put it down.
You're at home. Be at home, right? Your work is next day. It's going to be there.
They can't really enjoy it so much because they're thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, like that. Which is will cause a lot of stress to them.
I think the main thing here is like about being 100% in the moment is like being 100% in the moment. So when you're working, you must be 100% working. It doesn't mean because you're meditate, you have to be relaxed all the time, and also when you're having fun, you should be having fun 100%, not thinking about work.
That's
right.
That's right. Yeah. It requires focus, but it's not only focus. It's beyond focus. Focus is important. When you're driving a car, you better be focused 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you see accidents happening all the time. And then it takes a split second when you're not focused, and there's an accident happening. And that does require presence as well. Driving a car needs focus and it needs presence. But in terms of our inner state being relaxed and joyful, this is not depending on anything really outside of ourselves. It's something we must create. We are able to do that. And for anyone who's really interested in it, and for whoever's watching this now, that is available. That teaching is available.
Cool.
So, Robert, a personal question. You mentioned that you have been meditating for over 40 years. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you started to meditate, and what your spiritual journey has been?
Good.
Yeah. It was in 1974 when I was living in London that I started to do that on the advice of a friend. I was in a very stressful, kind of lost place in my life at that time. My ambition was to be a rock guitarist, and I had been living in Sydney, Australia, trying to manifest that ambition, but it wasn't really happening. And I was getting lost in a lot of the things that rock musicians get lost in. And so it started to really have a very negative impact on my life. And then a friend suggested meditation. When I got the letter from him, he was in London. When I got that letter from him, I thought, oh, he's lost it completely. What's this meditation thing? Something from India, some strange things for people who can't deal with life, people who can't cope with life. I'm okay, I'll be all right. And then it wasn't long after that I realized maybe I better try this thing that my friend's talking about. So I bought a ticket, went to London, and then started doing the meditation, the transcendental meditation. And I liked it a lot. And I realized from the first time I did it, oh, this is going to help me a lot. And so I started to do that twice a day, 20 minutes twice a day was that program. I became a teacher of that about 2 years later, and I taught it in a few centres, one in the south of England and one in Australia as well. And I did that practice for about 5 years. And then I knew there was a depth, a deeper aspect of meditation that I still hadn't yet discovered. And I decided to journey to America. And there I got connected with a Buddhist group in San Francisco. And the woman who was running that group, she was a Buddhist nun from Burma. And on a retreat that she gave, the Buddhist meditation was much more intensive. He did it for many hours a day. And I really liked that. And I went to her and said, well, you're from Burma. It's something very exotic. And they have temples there, right? She said, yes. And I said, would it be possible I could go there and stay in a temple for a while and immerse myself completely in meditation? She said, yes, you will probably have to become a monk for a while there. So let me think about that for about 3 seconds. I thought, yeah, that would be an awesome thing to do. And so a very kind of exotic thing to do. But I went and did that, and that was...
You became a monk.
I became a monk. Yeah, that's right. And then in that country, Burma, you didn't have to. It's not like being a Catholic priest. You didn't have to sign up for life. You could go there and have a temporary period as a monk. So I went there and I did that for a few months, and I came out of it. I traveled around India, and then I came back there and did some more of that. And then I did it again in Thailand, and the whole period, if you put all together, was 4 years. I lived as a Buddhist monk for 4 years. And at the end of that period, I realized I did not want to spend my whole life doing that or live in Asia. I went back to Australia. And but still, I started working as a sales job. And interestingly enough, I discovered how to be a really great salesman by using some of the things I had learned in the Buddhist monastery. And one of those things was how to be really present in a sales presentation. I wasn't doing that. And in the beginning, my clients were not saying yes to me. I failed in the beginning, and I couldn't figure out why. Why is this happening? And there's some other guys were getting success, others were not, and I was not in that successful group. And so this one client I was with, I was giving him my sales presentation, and he seemed to be bored like that. He wasn't paying attention at all. And I thought, my God, he's
Looking
not,
at the clock.
Yeah, like he's not interested in this at all, and he doesn't seem to want to be here. Why is that? Then a mental process, a very fast thing, in nanoseconds, came through my mind. A few quick thoughts. Why does he don't want to be here? Oh, because I don't want to be here. Even though I'm giving that presentation, I suddenly realized I don't really want to be here. When I realized that, I came into the present moment. It took me into the present moment. And suddenly he just said to me, don't talk anymore. How much is it? I gave the price. He said, when can you come and do it? Just that shift, like that. I started to say, every client I saw after that said yes. And within about 3 months, I was the top salesman in that company. How? Just
Presence.
being
Presence.
totally present. Be there. Yeah. So that's how effective that is. And that's how I brought that from the Buddhist monastery into a sales job in Australia.
I
It's a
feel
long
the
journey.
same when you give a fantastic classes, when you are really there with your students. You can feel your student is with you, and they feel that you are into what you are saying, and that really becomes very powerful.
But we have to work at that because, it does happen spontaneously sometimes. And other days you're not feeling so good. Maybe you didn't sleep so well that night, or you had a call from someone, or a relative is sick, or something like that. Or something has disturbed you, and then you will not be present. And so you don't have that energy that's flowing in the group.
And the things don't go as well,
They
right?
don't go as well. One thing piles on top of another. Then.
Yeah.
I like using something as a parameter of how spiritually well I am, basically. My sleep.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good indicator.
If
Sleep
I
is a great indicator.
Put my head on a pillow and sleep, all right, no matter the quality, it's another story, quality of the dreams and everything. It's another topic, which it's interesting bringing up. Edson really likes talking about it.
Yeah.
But like, I think I have the impression that many people feel the same. Like, I think the main thing with stress is like, how good can I sleep? You know,
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
is there a connection? Like when you're really, into
Yeah, the more present you are, the better you will be your quality of sleep. For sure.
The Dalai Lama said something like, sleep is the best meditation. It's a kind of meditation.
True.
And it's a kind of medication as well.
Medication as well.
But sleep medication that is prescribed by a doctor to help people to sleep is, wow, it's like a plague, like an epidemic these days.
Yeah.
So many people are doing that.
Yeah, I really don't recommend it. None of us here, of course, but it's like I'd rather go read, instead of going after medicine.
If you can use natural practices to fall asleep, for example, meditation helps a lot to relax you. If you are present when you are in bed, for example, one of the things that keeps people awake is that they are thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, what had happened during the day. If you are present, if you're just feeling your body, for example, the body scan meditation, if you start, just feeling your body, you will fall asleep if there's nothing, in terms of neurologically wrong or physically wrong. It really relaxes you and you sleep well.
Occasionally, a doctor might prescribe a sleep medication for someone, but I would say to anyone, only use it for a very short term. If don't use it for long-term application. Not any kind of medication. Certain things like perhaps for diabetic medication. I use diabetic medication. I have to. But medications for anxiety and sleep deprivation, these things are only useful in the short term. We've got to find a natural remedy for that in a long-term thing. Otherwise, the toxic effects on our physiology is terrible. Well, I think we might finish this great podcast.
Oh, I love that.
A great one. Very, very, very good.
Let it be the first of many.
Yes. Yeah. I think you have a lot of good things to share, Robert. With
I feel very good about doing it as well. Yeah, it's great, and we can feel the presence here right now.
Yeah. Sure. It feels very good. It feels really, really nice being here.
And second,
I hope the people who are watching are feeling the same.
Yeah.
And let's bring more of this into their lives. Huh?
Absolutely. We will do more. We'll let people know when the next one is coming. And keep with us. Keep going.
And don't forget asking yourself that very, very important question according to Mr. Bob Broughton. Where are you now?
Where am I now?
Where am I right now? That's
Yeah.
right. 3 or 4 times a day. You'll be very surprised what you discover. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.